You're bleeding out emotionally, and you don't even see the wound. Every text you send, every late-night confession, every desperate bid to prove your worth, it's draining the life from the very attraction you're chasing. You've been sold a lie since you were a boy. They told you that baring your soul, laying your heart bare, is the key to her desire. But what if the truth is darker, sharper, more primal? What if the man who holds back, who stands unyielding, is the one who sets her instincts ablaze? This isn't about luck or fate. It's about a brutal reality most men never face. Women are drawn to danger, not devotion. And the sooner you grasp this, the sooner you stop losing. This isn't just some theory. It's a psychological truth, rooted in the depths of human nature, that Freud himself uncovered over a century ago. He saw through the fairy tales society spins about love, the ones you've been fed through every rom-com, every pop song, every well-meaning piece of advice from friends or family. They tell you to be vulnerable, to share every corner of your soul, to be emotionally available. But every time you follow that script, she slips away. You're not imagining it. She's not pulling back because you're not enough. She's pulling back because you're giving too much. Freud knew desire isn't logical. It's a primal force, thriving on tension, mystery, and power. The more you give, the less she wants. And today, we're tearing apart that lie. We're rebuilding you into the man who commands attraction, not chases it. Mastering the "nothing bothers me" mindset. To master your emotions, you need to start with a mindset that's unshakable. A mindset where nothing bothers you. Where her tests, her distance, her silence don't rattle your core. Picture this. You're in a crowded bar in Chicago, Nashville, or Miami. She's across the table, tossing you a playful jab. Or maybe giving you the cold shoulder. Your instinct screams to lean in, to prove you're interested, to make her feel special. That's the old you. The one conditioned to please. The new you? You lean back. You let the silence hang. You hold her gaze with a faint smirk. Not because you're playing games, but because you're rooted in your own strength. This is the "nothing bothers me" mindset. And it's the foundation of everything we're about to uncover. Why does this work? Because women aren't drawn to the man who reacts to every emotional shift. They're drawn to the one who stands firm, who doesn't flinch. Freud called this the power of repression. Not hiding your feelings, but channeling them into something greater. The man who can't control his impulses, who jumps at every text or crumbles under her indifference. He's a boy, not a man. But the one who remains calm, who exudes quiet confidence, he becomes a mystery she can't resist. This isn't about faking it. It's about rewiring your psyche to value your own center over her approval. Start small. Next time you feel the urge to over-explain, to chase her attention, pause. Take a breath. Ask yourself, why am I reacting? If you're honest, you'll see it's not about her. It's about a fear of losing her, of not being enough. That fear is what you need to kill. Practice detachment, not as a trick, but as a discipline. When she doesn't text back, don't spiral. When she tests you, don't defend yourself. Let her wonder. Let her feel the weight of your silence. This is the first step to reclaiming your power. And it's not about her. It's about you. The illusion of emotional vulnerability. The lie runs deep. Emotional vulnerability is the key to love. It's in every movie you've watched, every song on the radio, every self-help book on your shelf. Be open, they say. Share your fears, your dreams, your heart. But here's the truth they don't tell you. The more you bear, the less she cares. Vulnerability, when overdone, kills attraction. It's not because women are cruel. It's because desire thrives in the unknown, in the tension between what's given and what's withheld. Freud understood this better than anyone. He saw that human desire isn't a neat, logical equation. It's a messy, primal force. His concept of repetition compulsion explains why women aren't drawn to the safe, predictable man who lays everything on the table. They're pulled toward the one who stirs their deepest instincts. The one who feels dangerous because he's just out of reach. Think about it. The guy who answers every text in seconds, who's always available, who pours out his soul. He's no mystery. He's a solved puzzle. And once the puzzle is solved, the game is over. Picture yourself in a coffee shop in Austin or Seattle. You're sitting across from a woman you're into. You're tempted to tell her everything. Your struggles, your hopes, your feelings for her. Stop. That's the script society sold you. The one that says emotional transparency equals connection. But connection isn't what sparks desire. Desire lives in the gap between longing and possession. When you give her everything, you close that gap. You become predictable, and predictability is the death of attraction. Instead, cultivate restraint. Share just enough to intrigue her, but never enough to satisfy her curiosity. Let her wonder what's behind your calm exterior. Let her feel the pull of the unknown. This isn't about being distant, it's about being deliberate. You're not hiding who you are. You're choosing what to reveal and when. That choice is your power, and it's what keeps her coming back. The cultural trap, how society programs you to fail. Let's pull back the curtain on the system that's been lying to you. From the moment you could understand words, society has fed you a narrative about love that's designed to keep you weak. It's in the rom-coms you grew up watching, where the bumbling nice guy wins the girl by confessing his undying love. It's in the advice from your well-meaning parents, who told you to just be yourself and be honest about your feelings. It's in the endless stream of social media posts preaching healthy communication and emotional availability. But this narrative isn't built to make you desirable. It's built to make you compliant. It's 2025, and you're a guy in your 30s, maybe grinding in a tech job in San Francisco or running a small business in Dallas. You're bombarded with messages about what it means to be a good man. Be soft, they say. Be empathetic. Be vulnerable. But when you follow that advice, you end up ghosted, friend-zoned, or worse, stuck in a relationship where you feel like you're walking on eggshells. Why? Because the system isn't interested in your success. It's interested in control. Think about the media you consume. Every Netflix series, every viral TikTok, every podcast about modern masculinity pushes the same script. Vulnerability is strength. But when was the last time you saw a movie where the hero won the girl by oversharing his insecurities? Never. The system doesn't show you the cost of emotional exposure because it doesn't want you to question the rules. It wants you to keep chasing validation, to keep believing that love is about giving everything, because that keeps you predictable, safe, and easy to manage. Freud saw this in his time. When society repressed desire under layers of Victorian propriety, he knew that repression didn't kill attraction. It distorted it, made it hungrier for what was forbidden. Today, the repression is different. It's not about silencing desire. It's about redirecting it into a sanitized, socially acceptable version of love. Women are taught to hide their primal instincts, to value emotional intelligence over raw attraction. Men are taught to suppress their strength, to prioritize her feelings over their own mission. And the result? A generation of men who are emotionally adrift, chasing a version of love that doesn't exist. The biological roots of desire. To understand why this system fails you, you need to go deeper into the biology of desire. Attraction isn't a choice. It's a force wired into our DNA over millennia. Freud's genius was in recognizing that our deepest desires aren't shaped by logic or morality. They're shaped by instincts that predate civilization. Women, like men, are driven by evolutionary impulses that value strength, independence, and unpredictability. These traits signal survival, power, and genetic fitness, and they're what ignite attraction on a primal level. Consider this. In the ancestral environment, a man who was too emotionally open, too eager to please, was a liability. He was the one who couldn't lead, couldn't protect, crumbled under pressure. The man who thrived, who won the respect and desire of others, was the one who could withstand uncertainty, who could hold his ground, who didn't need external validation to know his worth. That's the man women evolved to crave. Not because they're shallow, but because their instincts are tuned to survival. Fast forward to today. You're not hunting mammoths or fending off rival tribes. But your biology hasn't changed. When you chase her approval, when you make her the center of your world, you're signaling weakness, not to her conscious mind, but to her primal instincts. She might not even realize why she's pulling away, but her biology is telling her you're not the one. On the other hand, the man who's focused on his own path, who doesn't bend to her every whim, who exudes quiet confidence, that's the one who lights up her instincts. Because he signals strength, sovereignty, and purpose. This isn't about being a jerk or playing games. It's about understanding that desire thrives in tension, not comfort. When you're too available, too predictable, you kill that tension. You become the emotional equivalent of a solved Rubik's Cube. Interesting for a moment, but quickly forgotten. To keep her engaged, you need to maintain that edge, that sense of mystery that keeps her guessing. Not because you're trying to manipulate her, but because you're living for yourself first. The myth of emotional dependency. Here's where the rubber meets the road. The myth that love is about emotional dependency. You've been taught that to be loved, you need her. You need to show her she's your everything, that your happiness hinges on her approval. But this is the trap that kills attraction. The moment you make her the source of your validation, you lose your power and her respect. Imagine you're in a relationship. You're doing everything right, checking in constantly, planning thoughtful dates, listening to her every complaint. But instead of growing closer, she's growing distant. You're confused, hurt, maybe even angry. You think, I'm giving her everything, why isn't it enough? It's not enough because you're giving too much. You're not her partner. You're her emotional crutch. And no woman, deep down, wants a man who needs her to feel whole. Freud's concept of sublimation is key here. He argued that our raw, primal désir need for validation, our hunger for connection, can be redirected into higher pursuits. Instead of pouring all your energy into her, channel it into your own mission. Maybe it's your career, your fitness, your art, or your community. Whatever drives you, whatever makes you feel alive. When you prioritize your own purpose, you stop needing her approval. And that shift changes everything. Try this. Next time you feel the urge to text her back immediately, to reassure her, to prove you care, stop. Ask yourself, am I doing this for her or for me? If the answer is you're seeking her validation, put the phone down, go for a run, work on your project. Do something that reminds you who you are outside of her. This isn't about ignoring her. It's about showing her, through your actions, that you're a man with a life, not a puppy begging for attention. The power of restraint. Restraint is your greatest weapon, not the restraint of repression, but the restraint of choice. It's the ability to hold back, to say less, to let her come to you. This is where most men fail. They think love is about giving more, doing more, being more. But the truth is, love is about being enough as you are. The man who can say no, who can walk away, who can stand firm in his own purpose. That's the man who commands desire. Picture a guy in a Brooklyn dive bar, talking to a woman who's testing him. She's throwing curveballs. Maybe she's flirting with someone else. Maybe she's giving him one-word answers. The old him would double down, try to win her over with charm or persistence. The new him, he smiles, takes a sip of his drink, shifts the conversation to something else, or walks away entirely. Not because he doesn't care, but because he cares more about himself. That's the power of restraint. And it's magnetic. Freud's insight into the tension between yellow and repression is critical here. He knew that what we can't have, we want more. When you give her everything, your time, your attention, your emotions, you remove the tension that fuels attraction. But when you hold back, when you let her feel the space between you, you create a pull she can't ignore. This isn't about being aloof. It's about being deliberate. It's about knowing your worth and acting like it. Start practicing this in small ways. Don't answer every text immediately. Don't jump to fix her problems. Don't overshare your feelings just because you think it's what she wants. Instead, focus on your own life. Build something, whether it's a business, a skill, or a legacy. When she sees you're a man with a purpose, she'll start chasing you, because you've become the one thing she can't fully possess. Confronting your inner resistance. Now, let's get personal. Knowing all this isn't enough. It's what you do with it that counts. And here's the hard part. The moment you start to embrace this truth, you'll feel resistance. Not from her, but from yourself. A voice in your head will scream, "If I stop chasing, she'll leave. If I stop proving myself, I'll be alone." That voice is your enemy, and it's been running your life for too long. This resistance isn't just intellectual, it's emotional, psychological, existential. You've been conditioned to tie your worth to how much you can give, how much you can please. To break free, you have to confront the fear at the core of it, the fear of not being enough. That fear is why you chase validation, why you mold yourself to her expectations, why you sacrifice your own needs to keep her happy. But the irony is, the more you chase, the less you get. Imagine you're in a relationship and she's pulling away. Your instinct is to lean in, to fix it, to prove you're worth keeping. That's the resistance talking. Instead, try this. Step back. Give her space. Focus on yourself. Hit the gym. Dive into your work. Reconnect with your friends. Not as a tactic to win her back, but as a way to remind yourself that you don't need her to feel whole. This is the hardest part, because it forces you to face the void you've been filling with her approval. Freud called this process sublimation, taking your raw, messy impulses and channeling them into something greater. Your need for validation? Redirect it into your own growth. Your fear of rejection? Use it as fuel to build a life you're proud of. When you stop seeking her approval, you start building a foundation that no one can shake. And that's when you become the man she can't stop thinking about. The role of mystery in attraction. Mystery is the fuel of desire. It's not about lying or hiding who you are. It's about revealing yourself on your own terms. When you lay everything bare, you leave nothing to the imagination. You become a book she's already read, a puzzle she's already solved. But when you hold back, when you let her wonder, you create a pull that's impossible to resist. Think about the guys who always seem to have women chasing them. They're not always the best looking or the richest. They're the ones who don't need her. They're the ones who have a life, a purpose, a sense of self that doesn't depend on her approval. They're a mystery, not because they're manipulative, but because they're focused on their own path. That focus is what makes them magnetic. Try this. Next time you're on a date, don't spill your life story. Share a piece of yourself. Maybe a passion, a story, a glimpse of your world. But leave her wanting more. Let her ask questions. Let her lean in. When she senses there's more to you than she can see, she'll start chasing. Because mystery is what keeps her engaged. This ties back to Freud's insight about the unconscious. He knew that desire lives in the gaps, in the spaces we can't fully understand. When you're an open book, you kill those gaps. But when you're a man with depth, with layers she can't fully unravel, you become the one she can't let go of. Rewriting your identity. This isn't just about changing how you date. It's about rewriting who you are. You've been taught that your worth is tied to how much you can give, how much you can please. But real power comes from knowing you're enough as you are. This is the hardest shift, because it forces you to confront your deepest fears. The fear of abandonment, the fear of rejection, the fear that without her validation, you're nothing. Picture yourself in a moment of doubt. She hasn't texted back in hours, and your mind is spiraling. The old you would send another message, double down, try to fix it. The new you let it go. You go for a run, hit the weights, or lose yourself in your work. Not because you're ignoring her, but because you're reminding yourself that your worth doesn't depend on her response. This is the core of rewriting your identity, shifting from external validation to internal sovereignty. Freud's concept of sublimation is your roadmap here. Take your need for approval, your hunger for love, and channel it into something bigger. Build a business, master a craft, create something that outlives you. When you focus on your own mission, you stop needing her to complete you. And that's when you become the man she can't resist. Not because you're chasing her, but because you're chasing something greater, the ultimate victory, freedom. Here's the truth they never told you. The ultimate victory isn't her love, her attention, or her approval. It's freedom. Freedom from the need to please, from the fear of rejection, from the cycle of emotional dependency that's been holding you back. When you stop chasing, when you stop needing, you become the man you were always meant to be. This freedom doesn't come cheap. It demands sacrifice. The sacrifice of the comfortable lies you've been fed. The sacrifice of the old you who thought love was about giving everything. It demands that you face your fears head-on, that you confront the void of not being enough and realize it was never real. You are enough, not because she says so, but because you know it. Imagine this. You're walking through life with a quiet confidence. A man who doesn't flinch, who doesn't beg, who doesn't need anyone to complete him. You're focused on your mission, your purpose, your legacy. And suddenly, you notice something. Women are drawn to you, not because you're trying, but because you're not. Because you've become the man who commands respect, not by demanding it, but by living it. This is the truth Freud saw, the truth society hides, the truth that will set you free. Desire isn't about openness, it's about power. Not power over her, but power over yourself. When you master that, you don't just win her, you win yourself. And that, my friend, is the ultimate victory. If this hit home for you, if it made you rethink everything you've been taught about love, do me a favor. Hit that like button. Share this with a friend who needs to hear it. And subscribe for more truths that cut through the noise. Because the journey to freedom doesn't end here, it's just beginning.